A few minutes later, when Jenna came back to the party to look for Andrea, she spotted Amy in the corner of the dining room trying to get rid of some guy. There was something about the boy that gave Jenna the creeps. He was wearing a rolled-up blue bandana around his head and had an earring in the shape of a skull dangling from one ear. But it wasn't the way he dressed that bothered her. Lots of kids dressed like he did. No, it was something else, something in his behavior, and the way he kept trying to force himself on Amy. For a split second she considered going up to Amy and pretending she wanted to talk to her, just to get this guy off her back. But then she thought better of it. It really wasn't any of her business. When she came back through the dining room again, a few minutes later, she saw Amy escaping alone out the back door, and she felt an unexpected relief. She finally found Andrea sitting under a tree in the Pesarose backyard. Her eyes were wet and red-rimmed, and the first thing she did when she saw Jenna was yank a fistful of grass from the lawn and throw it at her. "I can't believe you did that," she shrieked. Jenna kept a safe distance from her. There was no telling what else Andrea might decide to throw. "Come on, Andy, you wanted to meet him, didn't you?" A small rock whizzed by, only inches from Jenna's head. "I've never been so embarrassed in my life." Andrea kept feeling the space around her with her hands, trying to find another rock to throw. "Sure you have," Jenna reminded her cheerfully. "Remember 5th grade in music when Miss Cobb tapped you on the head with the ruler, which meant everybody else stopped singing and you had to sing a solo, and she kept making you sing it over and over again, smacking the dumb ruler on your desk to keep the beat because you couldn't get the notes right?" "Thank you for reminding me of that." Another rock whipped by, just missing Jenna's shoulder. "Look, in the ultimate scheme of things, just how important can this be?" Jenna risked taking a few steps forward, then sat down beside Andrea. "I mean, it's not like this is life-threatening. It's not like I tried to talk him into taking you out or anything." "The ultimate scheme of things?" Andrea's mouth hung open. Jenna pointed to the stars that had formed a thick canopy overhead. "You know, the grand design, or whatever." She grinned at Andrea good-naturedly. "Sort of puts things in perspective, doesn't it?" Andrea punched her in the shoulder. "Michael Mackenzie, for your information, just happens to be part of my grand design, or was until tonight anyway." "I'm sorry, Andy. I was just trying to help." "I know you were." Andrea took the sleeve of her shirt and wiped her eyes. Sooty spots of mascara stained the material, but she didn't seem to notice. "It's okay. I mean, you didn't even want to come to this party in the first place, and I just didn't think I was ready, that's all. It's a little soon. It's hard to be around people who are having a great time when you feel so empty inside." Andrea nodded and sniffed. "And you came anyway for me." She rested her head on Jenna's shoulder. "It doesn't matter about Michael." After a few minutes of silence, Jenna said, "All I did was tell him you wanted to meet him, and he said he'd like to meet you too, only he couldn't right then because he had to leave." "He said that? He said he wanted to meet me?" Andrea brushed the smudgy wet spots from her cheeks, looking hopeful. "Yes, he said, I'd like to meet your friend. That's exactly what he said, his exact words." Andrea seized Jenna's arms. "You mean that? You're not making it up." "Why would I make it up?" Jenna shook her head. "Next party, you'll see." Andrea leaned back against the tree, closed her eyes, and sighed. "Next party," she whispered. It took 5 difficult math problems before Jenna felt calm enough to go to bed. The whole night she had been an emotional roller coaster ride. First Jason, then Andrea, even Amy. Then there was the odd feeling she had when she saw Michael Mackenzie watching her from his car. She had begun to wonder if his sitting on those church steps almost every evening had something to do with her. Jenna erased the proof to the second equation. It was all wrong. She brushed off her paper and stared down at the problem, but the numbers blurred on the page. A larger puzzle filled her mind. Was it possible Michael was interested in her? She shook her head, immediately dismissing the idea. She felt disloyal to Andrea for even thinking such a thing. Besides, he wouldn't have been in such an all-fired-up hurry to drive off if that were the case. And who was she kidding? She might be okay to look at, but Andrea was downright gorgeous. Jenna bent over the last math problem on the page. If only relationships could be worked out like mathematics. But that was impossible. There was simply too many variables. She'd probably never figure these people out. Not Andrea or Michael or Amy or Jason. It was all so complicated. Exhausted, Jenna closed her math book, slipped on her nightgown, and crawled into bed, hoping to go right to sleep. Instead, she lay awake for hours trying to decide what to do about Jason. And when she did fall asleep, her dreams gave her little peace, because this time, as she stumbled through the dark forest with Amy beside her, another person appeared. Jenna was almost halfway down the path when she spotted a boy up ahead, sitting beneath the ghost tree. And even with his head down, his arms folded about his bent knees, she knew it was Michael Mackenzie.